What's up, y'all? Respect the Chat podcast, episode 115.
Yes, sir.
Let's
115.
go. It took us a little time, but everybody was patient.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I've said before in other episodes, we got crazy lives to also do. We'd love if you can make us permanent podcasters where me and Ryan could just have this as our regular job. We'll record 2-3 times a week for you whenever something big comes out, because I know you want to know the RDC's opinion. And Ryan, I wanted to ask you this because I haven't got to talk to you in a while either.
Mm-hmm.
Since, you know, usually we can go FaceTime for a while. Both of our lives are kind of, you know, just moving in the right direction. Everything is positive, which is good. But I wanted to ask you this. Do you believe that other podcasts give the people what the RDC does? Because I think it's, when I think of RDC podcast, Respect the Chat podcast, I think about guys who don't really, because I listen to all the podcasts, and I know you do too.
Yeah.
And it's like we don't have all the facts. We sometimes don't even have the right guy's names. Shout out to Rich and Frankie, and sometimes I do too. But you know, but it's like just from like you know when people say put on the tape and watch what they like. We watch games. We've been watching games for a long time. A lot of us played sports all growing up. We're all athletic individuals. But what do you think separates? Because I wanted to try to get across to more people in this episode of like, what do you think we're about? Like, where's Respect the Chat fit in the podcast spectrum?
That's a good question, because I have listened to a lot of, podcasts where, they're either professional podcasts where it's people who do it all the time, or even some people who are kind of like us, do it for fun, try to get as many episodes out there. And they're kind of like, it almost feels a little forced sometimes. I feel like a lot of the RDC crew's like conversation is fluid. Like we're just talking and someone happens to be recording us, with the microphones on. I feel like I've heard a lot of people, some of my friends, some people I don't know, just random people, and it doesn't sound like their natural voice. It doesn't sound like how you would have a conversation with them face to face or on the phone or something. It kind of sounds like a little like they typed it out beforehand and like they knew what they were about to say as soon as it got to them. I think ours is more like just jump in whenever, just say whatever, it's even if it's not right. we'll always have each other's back with correcting if we're just way off. But
right,
it's more, this is where you come to, to have a conversation. You listen in, get other people's thoughts, and then like we've said before in the past, like if you are listening and you want the cold hard facts, the statistics, everything, go ahead and just take what we're saying and look it up yourself. Right? We're just here to enjoy the conversation. Not everybody's gonna have, if we were saying, like you were saying before, we had the full time to do it, I'm sure we'd bring you a lot more crisp facts, all that stuff. But that's not what we're really about. We're just, your regular dudes just talking sports, talking whatever's going on, and just having a conversation. Really, that's really what I think it is, more than a sports podcast. Is a conversation podcast that happens to be about sports.
I agree 100%, and it's a perfect way to put it, because I just been thinking about it a lot, and saying to myself, like, I enjoy to do this so much. Obviously I have a regular job. I just became a dad. Rich, same thing, job, and he's a dad, and Frankie as well, and you as well, and all your endeavors that you are involved in. So if we were able to make this a full-time thing, and even like not even like a full-time thing, but just like kind of like enough followers so that we can, I don't even want to eat off it. I just want people to hear what we're talking about. Right. Because sometimes I'm listening to these, I don't know, I guess a lot of guys like us have this opinion. I mean, I hope I'm not bunching anyone together, but like, so the analysts, like the pros, man, when I hear what they say, sometimes I'm like, man, I was either thinking the same thing, or I've been thinking about it another way. And this is a topic like I want to start on first with that, because I heard this today on Get Up. They were debating this. Devontae Smith, the wide receiver out of Alabama, right? So like they're debating now this guy's, because they need a topic to talk about. They're debating this guy's stature, his height, his weight. Can he play in the NFL? Is that a factor? They're like, we haven't really, you want the prototypical big, strong, fast guy.
DK Metcalf-esque.
Correct. Big guys like that, Calvin Johnson in the past, and Justin Jefferson, Julio who just came out last year, Julio Jones, prototypical, what you I guess would call. But I mean, I see the NFL going another way anyway. With Tyreek Hills, with Henry Ruggs,
Tyler Lockett.
Lockett, what Julian Edelman did for years. Antonio Brown fits in that category, I feel like, too.
Definitely.
And amongst the other great guys that we're just forgetting right now. But so they're debating this, right? And I'm just like, wait a second. Like, didn't you see that? They're like, is his height and weight, his stature, gonna hurt him in where he gets drafted, or is it the guys are just better than him? So let's start with that, at least, because this is what I hear today on these other podcasts and shows. Do you think Devontae Smith, because you watch college football, you know what college football is about, a Heisman Trophy winner, do you think his size and stature is going to affect his draft order?
No, I don't think it's gonna. I don't think his size and stature alone is going to affect his draft order. I think there's tons of talented players in this draft: quarterbacks, receivers, offensive linemen, cornerbacks, the works. Where if he slides a little bit, it's not because of his stature, his size, like they were saying. It's because either that team saw something else in someone else, or saw a different position entirely. I think that sometimes it makes me question if some of these people even watch the sport before they hop on the air and talk about it. Because this guy played for Alabama, one of, if not the powerhouse for college football.
And let me just add something on, because you would know this as well, watching college football this year. So yeah, like you're saying, he went to Alabama. So I mean, according to what I'm seeing, the second best corner in this draft comes from Alabama. Right. I can't remember his name. Sutton, something with an S. Yeah, really good. I'll look him. I mean, he's got to be going against him in practice, right? Like, he's getting the competition in SEC? No,
of course, and he's playing for national championships. Come on, bro, this can't be serious about whether or not he can play, or whether or not his size affects his ability to play. Yes, the NFL is full of dudes, of freaks, but he's one himself. He's an athlete. He's only going to continue to get better. Of course, guys like Hollywood Brown, for instance, right?
Yeah, okay, there's another guy, yes.
Same exact situation. First season, he maybe struggled a little bit with the bigger corners. Coming into last season, he put on healthy weight and looked amazing last year. So even if it takes him, a year of adjusting, I don't think it's going to hold back his career at all just because he's a little bit smaller than your average receiver. Not at all.
And who would you take? What order would you take him in? Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, or Jalen Waddle? Who do you think goes first, second, third? Not obviously, for the wide receivers.
Yeah, I would either go with Smith or Chase first, and then the other one second, and then Waddle third. Just because of the injury, honestly, and if you're going to, he's still going to be up there. It's not that, he just doesn't play at all. Coming up in the season, it's just when you saw him, he tried to hop out there in the national championship. It didn't look good. He needed to be off the field. I mean, I respect him trying to get on the field, show out for his team one last time.
Yeah.
But you could tell that he wasn't fully healthy and fully ready to be back out there. But that being said, I would just go with the other two just because we saw what they could do.
Yeah.
A little bit more in this last season, and I still think that Jalen Waddle, will be up there. He's not going to drop any further than that. So,
I like that. I think just for some reason, even with Chase not playing this year and sitting out, I think he goes first. Though I would want Smith. If I was drafting, I would want Smith, Jamar Chase, and then Waddle. But in the NFL, I think Chase is going to go first out of these three, just because he's like that prototypical big guy, and he led I think NCAA in receiving the year before, right? Yeah. So I think he goes first.
He did have Joe Burrow, but
also true. Who happened to be the number one pick? Imagine he goes really quickly. Chase goes to the Bengals at 5.
Whoa.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How crazy would that be?
That would be insane.
Right?
Put him in there with those guys. Oof.
So I think it's gonna be Chase, Smith, Waddle. But let's just stick there for a second. Joe Burrow. Do you think he has any influence? If it because at 5, you got to think Cincinnati's either got to take the lineman out of Oregon, right?
They got to take the lineman.
Penei Sewell.
They gotta take the lineman.
Pitts, because
Yep.
he's a freak athlete and give Joe a freak tight end.
Yeah.
Um,
That's another good one.
or
Pitts.
Jamar Chase. What do you
I
go? What do you go at 5 if you're Cincinnati?
If I'm Cincinnati, if he's there, I'm taking the tackle. You got to protect Joe Burrow. You saw what happens when guys like Chase Young get in the backfield, and it's not going to get any easier. If this injury makes him even a little less mobile. If you watch Joe Burrow this entire last season, he was running. He was on the run.
Yeah,
And
yeah, he was.
if this injury affects his mobility even in the slightest, guys will get to him more, and that's not going to be good for a guy coming off an injury, still trying to keep the confidence in your quarterback and just trying to win some games in a really tough division and conference. I think you have to go with the lineman if he's there.
Yeah,
If he's not there, then you have something to talk about because I don't know who the second best option at offensive tackle is. I think it's the guy out of Northwestern. I forgot his name.
Great. Yeah, me too. But yes,
But I would go with Pitts then. But that would be interesting to see him relink with Jamar Chase. I just don't think they need that type of receiver, especially after getting
Higgins
T. Higgins and
your boy
having Tyler Boyd. Yes. Yeah. So big tight end would be nice, but I think you got to go with the offensive lineman.
I agree. I could see the tight end appeal, giving Joe a guy like that, matching up with Higgins and Boyd and mixing in the backfield. We talked about this before. Oh man. But I think I agree with you. Joe is someone you heavily invested in. He's your guy. You gotta protect you from, they always say build from the inside out. So starting with that line and getting this dude Penei Sewell, man, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
No-brainer. But if they want to live on the edge a little bit, get Kyle Pitts and forget about a lineman and just let Joe throw the ball over the field or hand it off. The less time you need, you got more options.
There you go.
Let's stay with the draft for a little bit. So, Jacksonville at number 1. What do you think? You think there's any crazy surprises, or you think they take Trevor Lawrence?
No, I think it's Trevor Lawrence. I think that Trevor Lawrence knows it's Trevor Lawrence. I think Jacksonville knows it's Trevor Lawrence.
If it's not Trevor Lawrence, who possibly can it be? I agree with you. I think it's Trevor Lawrence. I wouldn't take Trevor Lawrence if I had the number 1 pick, but that we can get to in a little bit. But obviously, it's going to be. But if it was a crazy thing, what wouldn't you be so, I guess, surprised? Or what would you be surprised at? Like, if it's not Trevor, who is it?
I think something just happened with the mics, but I think we're good now because it sounded. Yeah, wait, talk for me real quick.
Yo.
Perfect. So it sounded like it was coming through some sort of headphones, but if it wasn't Trevor Lawrence, the only way I could see it not being Trevor Lawrence is the Urban Meyer Justin Fields connection.
Yeah, I
Ohio
agree.
State. I think that's the only possible wrench that could be in there.
Yep.
But I don't think that it's plausible. I think it's Trevor Lawrence.
So if it's anyone, I agree with you. I think Urban Meyer pulls this is my guy out of Ohio State. Let me get him, and we're gonna do great things.
Yeah.
So it's Trevor Lawrence at 1. Zach Wilson at 2. Do you think goes to the Jets?
Yes. Yeah. Has to. We were talking about it. We were talking about it last podcast, I believe, about moving Sam Darnold, whether or not they should do that. They did it. So now you have to go with your guy. I think it's Zach Wilson. But the Jets have surprised a lot of people in the past. It could be Mac Jones for all we know. We don't know.
Could you imagine? I feel like if it was Mac Jones, it would be like the Daniel Jones move Giants did.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, just a mind-blowing pick where you're just like, what are you not to get caught up on old news, but what was so mind-blowing about that Daniel Jones pick is that you could have they had another pick that they could have used later on to get him. They didn't have to get him where they were got anyway, but it would not surprise me. I'm sure it wouldn't surprise Jets fans as if they just were like, yeah, we saw how good this dude Justin Fields threw, how good this dude Zach Wilson threw. Let's go with not the athlete and Trey Lance. Let's go with Mac Jones.
Yeah, if the Jets were to, and I still feel the same way about San Francisco. San Francisco, I agree with you. I think the Jets like Wilson.
Yeah.
He like, he's ready to. They're ready for that kind of guy in a New York Jets uniform. But I think actually Justin Fields fits what San Francisco does better. That's why I even want to see him there. Zach Wilson's going to struggle a little bit. That Jet team is not ready, but I think they pick him and they know they're in for a little bit, and they draft some linemen, also the Jets, and they build around this kid. Corey Davis going there helping out. Maybe they grab a running back later, Travis Etienne or something, or Najee Harris, somebody like that, maybe in the second round, because the Jets got picks.
Yeah.
So I think Wilson 2, I agree. I like Fields 3, and the same reason. Like, I don't think that, and I know all the reports keep saying this, that San Francisco moved up to get Mac Jones, but because he fits the Kyle Shanahan system, and we haven't talked in a while, so this is why all this is coming up, and I'm glad it is. Do you want the same guy in the same system? Like, do you want the same dude in there? You didn't win anything with Matt Ryan. You went to a Super Bowl. You didn't win, but you went to one Super Bowl in all those years. Or do you want a super, I don't want to call him a super athlete, but do you want a guy who could run a 4.3 and who cares? Okay, I don't care. He's a quarterback, but he also could throw on a dime. He's also big. He's also strong. He's also won. He's also been a starter at an elite school for a bunch of years. Why not him? Why not do something different with that offense in San Francisco and let that defense hold him down, over there in San Francisco? So what do you think San Francisco does? You think they moved up to get Mac, or the door is open?
Well, if any of the picks in the top 3, the door is open, I think it's that one. I think there's a combination of things that could lead to their final decision, but I got to agree with you. I think that you see what the system is, and why get rid of a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo then? Why move on from that situation, or even try to make an improvement like that if you're not gonna try something different? In my opinion, I think that if you're gonna move up like that and move on from a quarterback, you want to try something different. You don't want just a younger version of the same guy you had.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
or have.
So I don't know. I could go either way. I would like to get a 49ers fan's opinion on what they would like to see, the same old, system quarterback, or get someone a little exciting in there. Maybe get some hype around it. Because I'm really excited to see him play, just from the emergence of guys like Kyler Murray. I think that they proved that if you're an athlete and you have an arm, it doesn't matter your size. You can make things work even at the NFL level. So that one's a toss up to me. I would like to see them go Justin Fields, but I could see what they're saying about the system and all that with Mac Jones.
Well, it's funny you say you want a San Francisco perspective, because my boy Chris Brown, an avid listener of Respeck Da Chat, I talked to him about it just recently. I know it's one San Francisco fan, but he's been one for a very long time. Back in the Rice, young days, maybe even Montana, because he's a little older than me, Chris. So maybe he remembers Montana being there. But so he's heavily invested. He knows everything. And he said the same thing you just said. Why do you want the same guy in Mac Jones that you already have in Jimmy Garoppolo? He said exactly what you said. He said, I want a new, dynamic quarterback who's already got a good arm, who's smart, but now has just got speed and athleticism. I want Justin Fields, and I agree with him. I said that's the guy I would take. So let's stick there. Respeck Da Chat because this is the Respeck Da Chat mock draft, and hopefully we'll be right. You got Trevor Lawrence 1, Zach Wilson 2, Justin Fields 3. Who do you got at 4 at Atlanta?
Kyle
Pitts.
I think they go Kyle Pitts. I think that would be very interesting. I don't think they go quarterback. I don't think they, pull the Aaron Rodgers what Green Bay did last season or 2 seasons.
Matt Ryan.
Right, on Matt Ryan.
Pull Aaron Rodgers on you, dog.
I think that they're still sticking it out. I think getting him more weapons in order to relieve the pressure off guys like Jones and Ridley would help a lot. I don't think that I don't think they go lineman, but that would be my other. It was either him or It was either
What
Kyle
player?
Pitts or the offensive lineman from Oregon that
Because
goes there.
you got to think like they're there, right? Like they got their guys up front.
Yeah.
Why bring a offensive lineman in now
Mm-hmm.
when? I mean, I guess to protect Matt Ryan in his last maybe 1 or 2 years he has left, but to me, I think you got to give him weapons
Mm-hmm.
to see what he could do, and then start drafting. Maybe start thinking about the offensive line. That's still a thing, but
Right.
I agree with you. You know, I don't think they're going to replace Ryan yet.
No, and I think that a lot of the reason that Matt Ryan was going down as much as he was last season wasn't from complete collapses by the offensive line as often
I
as it
agree.
was guys just not being open.
Mhm.
You have incredible route runners like Calvin Ridley, but if they're getting triple team when Julio Jones is sidelined, it's
Yeah.
it's not going to work. And then when he's on the field, they're both on the field. That offense has looked fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Um,
And Matt Ryan has proven that with a tight end, I believe, and it's going. I mean, he played with
Austin Hooper,
Gonzalez, Tony Gonzalez, and Austin Hooper.
yes,
You know,
yes,
he's had success with those. I believe Gonzalez was there when he was there, right? I don't know why my memories. Gonzalez is there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Has to be, and he did great with him. And he did great with Hooper. He was going to do great with Pitts, and I think that would give Julio 1-on-1 and Ridley 1-on-1. So, Respect the Chat is
I
going to
like
go
that.
Kyle Pitts at 4
Mm-hmm.
to Atlanta. We're going to go to big man Penei Sewell to Cincinnati, right?
Yep.
At 5. Let's just go to 10 here. We'll make it quick. At 6, who does Miami take? In mock drafts, they got Jamar Chase,
Mm-hmm.
Devontae Smith, guys like that. They say in receiver at that point.
Yeah, I definitely think they go receiver. I would say they go Jamar Chase.
Okay. So I agree with you. I think Jamar Chase goes there at that's 6-7. New England is at 7.
New
Are they?
England.
No, New England can't be at 7. Who is at 7?
Yes, I have it right here. It's
Detroit,
Detroit. Wait.
right? Detroit
It's
should be
Denver.
7.
It's Denver. They got the pick from Detroit.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
So it's Denver at 7. Yes, Denver at 7. I'm seeing a lot of, I'm seeing a lot of Trey Lance to
Yeah,
Denver.
because I don't know if they're totally locked in on Drew Lock.
Yeah.
So I could see Denver going quarterback, and I could definitely see at that point, I think Trey Lance is available there too.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. I can agree with that. I like that for the Respect the Chat pick. Who's after that? So we said that's Denver at 7.
Denver at 7.
They traded with Detroit.
Yes.
Okay.
They traded the 7th and the 9th pick.
Okay.
The 8th pick, though, is Carolina.
Oof. So Carolina just got Sam Darnold, right?
Yes.
And I didn't really expect that, and not them to trade for him. And we talked about that on a couple of podcasts ago.
Yep.
Sam Darnold with Carolina, you got to think they possibly go. Maybe they go to lineman from Northwestern, build around Sam Darnold or whoever the next quarterback is in there that they're gonna, if they don't stick with Sam for some reason, or do they go Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle and get weapons for Sam Darnold because they lost Curtis Samuel.
Yeah.
So maybe they replace him.
I don't know what they do. I think that either the offensive lineman or I would go a guy like Jalen Waddle. Because you need, like you said, if you're bringing in Sam Darnold and you have Christian McCaffrey getting back healthy, you want to get some weapons for, them to mix it up. If you lose a guy like Curtis Samuel, you need someone to go with. They still have
What's that?
his name is escaping me. Carolina Panthers wide receiver.
No.
Always good in fantasy. Oh man. See, this is the thing about Respect the Chat, man.
Yeah, it is. So Curtis Samuel, right, was always good there,
Yes.
wasn't he?
DJ Moore. DJ Moore.
Dang it, DJ Moore. Come on, Respect the Chat.
To go with DJ Moore, I think that you need another receiver. I would go with the offensive lineman, or I would go with. I'm gonna say Waddle for our Respect the Chat mock draft. I'm gonna say Waddle.
I like it. I like it because I was either thinking Smith or Waddle, but you know what? I like what Waddle gives them matching up with DJ Moore, so I
Ooh.
agree there. I like that combo, man. Okay, who's after that?
After that is Detroit, who switched their pick with Denver.
Detroit has a quarterback. Jared Goff is there. They just lost Kenny Galladay. Did they replace Kenny Galladay with Devontae Smith, or because now we got
Mm-hmm.
Waddle's gone, or oh man, did they go lineman from Northwestern
They could protect Jared Goff.
protect Goff?
I'd say they go. I say they go lineman. I say they go with
The Northwestern
the
lineman.
Northwestern offensive lineman.
Okay, I like that too because I think that lineman's got to go before 10.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
if not, I feel like the Cowboys have a chance of grabbing him at 10. Who's at 9?
9.
Or was that 9?
That was 9. The
Okay.
Patriots get 10 from Dallas.
Wait, that was already made,
Yeah, the Patriots.
or is this
Well,
or
this
is
is
it
a projection that
okay?
they're going to trade up from Dallas to get the 10th pick.
Like in the teens, they're going to go up to 10. I hope they don't. I hope the
Yeah,
Cowboys
the
pick.
15th pick is going to be traded for the 10th.
Oh, I hope not. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope the Cowboys keep it. I hope they take either the corner from Alabama or they take Horn from South Carolina. We need a corner to go on the other side of.
So so it's looking like in the mock drafts that I'm looking at that even though they trade back, they still are probably able to get the guy out of Alabama.
Okay,
Patrick Surtain is his name.
Surtain,
Yeah.
yes, Patrick Surtain, man. Oof. Man, I'd love to have him or Horn, man. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they move back or whether they stay at 10. So, come on, Dallas. All right, Respect the Chat. That's our mock draft.
Yep.
We talked about Sam Darnold, something I wanted to talk about and going over there. We got that under control. Do you think there's any way the Cowboys move up from 10 to, which is also another crazy projection I heard, 10 to 4?
Did I
Because Atlanta was willing to trade their make their fourth
did
pick
I miss it? Who did we say at 10 for the RDC crew?
for the Cowboys.
Yeah, if the
Because
Cowboys
they're at
stay
10.
there.
Because they're 10 now. We got to go. For me, I feel like it's either Sertan or Horn.
Okay.
Which one do you think?
I
Or
would
do you
say
think something
Surtain.
else?
I think that they're going to make that trade. I think that the Patriots
okay.
are going to try and move up. I
And who
don't
the
know.
Patriots going to move up for?
People are saying Mac Jones. I
Mac
don't
Jones,
think
right, is going to be there then?
I don't think that happens. I think that if they move up, I think they're going to want to get either another piece for that defense because you know how much they love their defense,
Yeah.
or they're going to get a receiver to help out Cam Newton because I think if you re-sign Cam Newton, I think it might be good to have another quarterback just in case. So maybe that would be the move to have Mac Jones, but keep Cam as your starter. If it doesn't work out, you have the young guy to come in. I do like that for them, but I also see them going with either Devontae Smith or Micah Parsons, trying to get
The Penn State linebacker.
if they're trying to add more to their defense. I could see this draft being that would be more like adding strength to their strengths already. So
This is New England.
yeah, New England.
Yeah. So if New England moves up, you're saying either Parsons, Smith, or Mac Jones
Yeah.
they move up for.
Yes.
Do you think they move up like based on how the draft starts and they start seeing what's going on and
Yes.
then they're like, okay, our guy or our guys are there who we possibly want. Let's move up now to 10 to Dallas. You think
Definitely.
that's when it comes?
Definitely. I completely agree. I think that it's not something they make a decision on until they know that there's a guy there that they absolutely can't wait till 15 to have.
Okay. Okay. One last thing in football. Alex Smith retires. Wow, man, what a career. What a comeback from a gruesome injury.
Yeah.
A guy who played for San Francisco, played for Kansas City, played for San Francisco. Played for Washington. Was a professional at what he did. Was great at what he did, in my opinion. People are gonna call him a game manager. Come on, man. Alex Smith is an NFL quarterback, man. I hate that game manager title because he balled, man. You know, Alex Smith won a lot of games, won some big ones, some not so, but you know, he had an average NFL, I would say, career. Is it Hall of Fame? I don't think so. But because I think you have to be really great to be in the Hall of Fame. But
Mhm.
Alex Smith was a joy to watch, man. I was always a fan of him, the way he carried himself and the way he played. He's a winner, and he did whatever he could do to put his team in the best position possible. And if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes, he'd still probably be the Kansas City quarterback. So
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's only a guy like that pushes Alex Smith out, who was solid for Kansas City,
Mhm.
right?
Completely agree. Yeah.
So shout out to Alex Smith. I think also Jordan Reed, longtime tight end for also played for Washington for years, and a couple other teams, but he also, I believe, retired as well. So shout out to those guys, man. And if anyone else retires, trades, or whatever it may be, Respect the Chat. We'll do more football
Of course.
that we possibly can. But with the draft coming up, I wanted to get a little bit of that in. UFC 261.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my
Whew.
gosh.
Let's go. Let's
Is
go.
this is this not like Christmas
Come
morning?
on. That's what it feels like. Every.
And
Go ahead.
yeah, and just adding the fans in is just even that greater.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
When we had this over the summer, the three title fights type uh pay-per-view
Yeah.
event, if it was huge because it was one of the first big events of quarantine and all that stuff. There was plenty of pay-per-views before that, but this one just felt like, wow, they just jam-packed it for us, and it was good. A lot of hype up until the last, the main fight, which is what I think is a lot of people's criticism of this pay-per-view coming up, this main event coming up. But I think that's just a consequence of the circumstances. Accepting the fight on late notice, a fighter just trying to keep his belt, knowing let's not do anything crazy. I know exactly what to do.
Mhm.
And I think that these fights, even the first two women's fights, are going to be electric. And then
Oh,
I think that this Masvidal Usman 2 is going to be a lot different than the first one.
I
Very,
agree.
very, very different from the first one. So what do you think about this card?
Did you see Did you see the bet I made with Rich in the homies chat?
The gentleman's bet, of course.
Gentleman's bet, the classic gentleman's bet. Rich thinks that the Usman Masvidal fight is going to be boring like the other one was,
Mm-hmm.
which, first of all, the other one wasn't boring, but I understand it was in a way because they weren't doing much.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you expect when one fighter's taking on 6 days notice, dropping the weight like he did in Masvidal, and Usman not really preparing for that opponent, you know, doing what he's going to do?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be very exciting. I think every one of these fights are going to be exciting because not one of these fighters that are fighting the championship fights
Mm-hmm.
have ever given me a bad fight.
Nope.
Jessica Andrade has never given me a bad fight. She's either power bombing somebody
Mm-hmm.
or she's going at somebody. She only fights big time fights. Valentina Shevchenko, come on, what is there to say
You don't
about
have to
her?
say much
She's
else.
the
Yeah.
second best women's fighter in UFC history besides Amanda Nunes. So never gave me a bad fight, ever, never.
Yeah.
Rose, one of my favorite fighters in the UFC, never has given me a bad fight. Wei,
Wei Lee. Whew.
Wei Lee, come on, bro.
Fight of the year.
Bad fight doesn't even make sense. Not in the same sentence. And then Masvidal and Usman. Whoever says Usman is boring doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I heard Joe Rogan and Stephen Thompson talking on Joe Rogan's podcast say, like, if you think that Usman is a bad fighter, I mean a boring fighter, you should just poke yourself in the eye and call it a day. Like, don't watch it then. You don't know what you're talking about. He's knocking people out with a jab.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
you're a very casual fan
Correct.
if you believe that his style of fighting isn't exciting, and I agree with what you were saying. The first fight of this, they both took it late notice. Obviously, Masvidal wasn't in the best of shape because he had to lose so much weight
Yeah.
in such a quick time, and had to fight a guy who's so physically dominant. And if you're Usman, I don't have enough time to prepare for this guy. If he has any chance of beating me, it's going to be to knock me out. Why would I even stand there and throw any punches? I'm going to physically dominate him. I know he's not in the best shape. I know he didn't have a full camp. I know his cardio probably isn't the greatest right now. So I'm just going to do what I have to do and move on. Why would you want to risk losing your belt on someone who's taken it 6 days notice? You don't. So
Right. So you got to fight that safe fight,
right.
with all that being said, this is
Oof.
exciting. Let's get to some of the picks.
Yeah,
Let's
let's do
let
it.
people know what we're thinking. Maybe we agree, maybe we disagree, but we'll see what happens here. So let's start with that, the main event. Okay, let's start there. Let's go
Okay.
Masvidal, Usman. Give me first. Give me who you think wins, and then I want to hear obviously why the breakdown of it, and then I want to hear a crazy, outlandish finish if possible
Ooh.
for that person. But first, give me who you think wins and how, or why rather.
This was. I actually hate, and I'm going to say this, I hate this matchup for
Mm-hmm.
personal selfish reasons.
Yeah.
Reasons because I love both these fighters. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see either one of them lose. I don't want to see
No.
I almost wish they weren't in the same weight class. I want them both to have a belt. I like them both, and I'm a big fan of Masvidal, and I
Mm-hmm.
really want him to be the champ. And I think that Usman's a solid fighter,
Mm-hmm.
very diverse in what he could
Yeah.
do, and very
Who you still
dominant.
want to see? Who you still want to see reign
Yeah,
on? But mm, eh.
I think I'm gonna go Masvidal.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The same breakdown I was
I
about to give.
I think I'm gonna go. I don't know what it is when I'm looking back at that first fight,
Mm-hmm.
and when I'm watching it in the present. When we were watching it in my parents' downstairs living room
Yeah.
on the big TV, I thought that Masvidal was getting dominated.
Mm-hmm.
When I go back and watch, he got some good shots in there
Yeah. Yeah.
stunned Usman a little bit, and he for someone who had no really good cardio training for that fight. I mean, he lasted the entire fight with him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get dragged in the deep waters like these guys do, where they put you out because you just are so exhausted you can't keep them off you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did get controlled in the clinch, and he did, get controlled on the fence or on the cage. But I think that with the proper, full camp,
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be able to do what he has to do to settle that part down and get
Mm-hmm.
to his style of game. So I'm gonna go Masvidal. I would not be surprised.
I agree, man. I feel like we haven't talked in forever, like this breaking fights down
Mm-hmm.
and what our opinion is of it and where we're formulating that opinion. But I agree with you. I think that both of these guys are two guys I like. I agree with you. I like Masvidal more, but I love Usman too, man. I think he's a great fighter. I think there's so many matchups I still want to see him fight, but I want him to battle back. I want to see a third one of these,
Ooh.
which is being talked about too. So, and I want Masvidal to be the champ. I want Masvidal to put the belt on, and I think Masvidal can. And like you said, when I first watched it in your parents' basement,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, man, that was kind of like a one-sided fight. And then I watched it again, and then I watched it again, and I was like, wait a second, Masvidal put some work in.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to ask you too. There's reports of like Usman coming into the first fight with a broken nose, right? That he
Mm-hmm.
was evaluated after the fight, and they were like, "Oh, you got a broken nose, a shattered nose, whatever." He was like, "Yeah, I came in with that." Now hold on a second. So the little bit of conspiracy in me, which is very minimal, but it does come out every now and then, and I say to myself, "Okay, if you broke your nose
Right.
2 weeks out, and they told you." And you are fighting your scheduled opponent that you've been training for, I could see you fighting because you've been through the whole training camp. You know who you're fighting.
Who
You
was gonna
don't
be
know
Gilbert Burns, right?
who's going to be Gilbert Burns.
Okay.
Correct. I could see it being Gilbert Burns and him making that fight. But once, not taking it out as in your
Yes.
nose is like that shouldn't be something you fight with. But anyway, but now he drops out and now you get a guy on 6 days notice. That's the time where you could tell the UFC, listen, I broke my nose in practice. They would say to you, we're not fighting then. Just hold off
Yeah.
and wait. But he didn't say anything.
No.
So that's what makes it fishy to me. If it was a training camp and Gilbert Burns, I could see you not saying anything because you just went through a whole training camp. You know the guy. This is something that you've been waiting. You're not going to let this happen. I believe guys go into fights after long training camps with injuries and still fight.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's a when the fight breaks down, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
You should take that advantage and say, okay, let me clear my nose up and go. I think he took an elbow to the face. Masvidal is so unorthodox, and that's why I think he wins the fight, and that's going to be my pick. But do you think there's any truth to this guy coming in with a broken nose, or can you see where I'm coming from?
Oh, I definitely see where you're coming from. I mean, I think there could be some truth to it, only because the one wrinkle in what I think you were saying is, I think that he came into that fight. Let's say he's telling the truth, right? Let's say he came into that fight, broken nose and all, and he's like, I'm still gonna fight it. I think he knew his game plan, and he knew that if he had a broken nose, that it wasn't going to, you know, ruin his chances of winning this fight if he stuck to the game plan that he's made for himself, which is just play control, wear him out, don't get into too many, if any, striking, exchanges. So if I could see if there was any truth to it, that being his, excuse where, okay, well, I'm not going to turn down the fight because I know I'm going to just do this instead. Yeah. But I think more likely the case is he doesn't want to admit that Masvidal broke his nose in the fight.
Yeah.
And he didn't, get a scratch. He wants to make it seem like he walked out without a scratch.
Yep.
Because you're right. Why, if you are planning for one guy and he's the one who drops out, and now you're like, okay, well, I have this injury, that injury. Let me get right so that I could just fight the guy I was planning to fight when it's, ready to be scheduled. No, he takes this fight, and he's not. What is this? That was his second title defense. Third, he won the belt, defended it, and then that was his second defense.
I think it was his third defense.
Third
I think
defense.
he beat Woodley, he beat
Covington.
So maybe
Anyone else?
maybe I don't believe so, but okay, right around there, 2 or 3. You're right.
2 or 3, but so my point of bringing that up is saying it's not like he needed the money desperately. He's been getting these big time fights for a while now. So, in my opinion, I think you're right. I think that it's just one of those things he wants to keep hush-hush. He doesn't want to concede that he was damaged in a fight where it looked like he was so dominant.
I agree. And I like you, Usman, if you listen to Respeck Da Chat.
Definitely.
But and I see where you're coming from. I see that angle of like, I'm not giving this guy anything. If he broke my nose on 3 days' notice, that's going to give him fuel of what he can do on a training camp. Even though the training camp was a little bumped up, but still more than 6 days, still efficient enough. So I got Masvidal. I think Masvidal is just too unorthodox. He got a full tank. He really looks crisp and good. I think it's going to be a classic fight, though. I think it's going to be like close to a Covington, the one when Usman first for Covington, which I think is one of the greatest fights ever.
Oh, yeah.
So bold prediction from me is, oh my gosh. Bold prediction from me would have to be Masvidal first round KO.
Whoa.
Head kick.
Whoa. Okay.
Like a switch. He makes that the one he knocked Till out with. I think he hits him with 2 nice combos, but then he comes with a kick off of it.
I like it.
Because if Usman goes for the clinch, I think a kick or a knee to the body. I say kick to the head, man.
Yeah.
That's my bold prediction. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a great fight.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's awesome back and forth exchange. But I think Masvidal wins. Bold prediction, Masvidal KO, round 1. What's your bold prediction?
If I could have a bold specific prediction, I would say in this third round, Usman's going to get a little bit of control, have Masvidal against the cage, and I think that he's going to work his way into a position where he's putting the elbow and setting up a knee, and I think he gets him with a low. He gets Usman, who's on his feet, bending down to try and get a takedown or something like that, get better position, and catch him with a knee straight up.
Ooh.
Something like that. I think I saw Anthony Smith do something similar, and I was watching the UFC always puts out on Instagram clips of whoever's coming up whoever's coming up that next event, all of their previous wins. And I saw Anthony Smith, who's also fighting on this card, we'll get to that later, have the exact same knee that I'm talking about, where he sets it up by keeping the elbow on him, and the guy tries to reach down and he gets hit with a knee. I could see that happening. with
Oh boy.
Masvidal,
Oh, I
Usman.
like it.
So
I like it. And you think that's a little bit later?
I think that it's gonna come at a point where Usman is trying to work on his wrestling because he maybe feels that he's not as comfortable striking, so he's trying to
Mhm.
work his control, and I think that that's when it comes.
Yeah, the big thing that it's going to be interesting how Masvidal deals with the jab because
Mm-hmm.
Usman's jab is so deadly and that's his move, and he can come through with a power, straight right, man. It's going to be interesting how he plays
Yeah, he can
the
strike
the
too.
jab.
He's not
Yeah,
just a wrestler.
and I think even a crazier thing is like this Masvidal. He submitted a couple guys in his day. I just think that would be a little surprising too,
Oh,
but
that'd be
I like
insane.
both. I like both of our bold predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Great and awesome fight, man. I'm so excited for that fight. Co-main event, Rose Namajunas versus Wei Lee. Oh
Oh,
boy. Oh
jeez.
boy.
Another situation where I like both the fighters. I don't
Yes.
know. I love Thug Rose. I think
Yes.
Whaley is an incredible fighter.
Hmm.
Her fight against Joanna, I think, is my all-time favorite fight
Hmm.
I've ever watched.
The second time.
The second when we
It's a
were
private.
awake, when we were awake for that one.
Yeah. That's a private joke, y'all. But
Yeah,
maybe one day we'll get to tell you the story. It's okay.
but
Who you got winning?
I gotta go with the champ. I gotta go
Okay.
with
Okay.
Whaley. I think that she's just too strong.
Hmm.
I think that a lot of what we saw happen to Rose when she fought Jessica Andrade. She just was pretty much winning the fight if she didn't get power bombed like you were just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
But I think that Whaley is another one of those just super strong for her size style fighters where if the striking isn't working out, she can just overpower her in other ways. But I
Hmm.
think that this will be another one of those just go in there and swing in the pocket type fights that both of them like to do. So, what do you think about this one?
See, I got Rose, man, and
Ooh,
I think Rose's
double underdogs.
yeah, Rose's mentality back in of like, okay, I'm locked back in. The one-time champ in this division, knocked out Joanna the first
Mm-hmm.
time she fought her, beat her up the second time she fought her. Um, Great, or vice versa, whatever. Beat her up the first time and knocked her out the second. Whoever knows, beat her twice. Who I consider probably the best at this division all time until someone else obviously moves up. But she was the dominant person in that division forever. Rose handled her twice. Rose was handling Andrade, and she just got caught, but she
Mm-hmm.
was winning that fight too. So I don't put that against Rose.
Definitely.
So I think her fresh mentality coming out of that, having the belt and losing it, and then coming back and really wanting it, her footwork, her combinations, her length, I think is going to help her. Her reach, I think, is going to help her
Mm-hmm.
in this fight against Whaley. Whaley and Rose, Whaley and Joanna's fight. I mean, hands down, easy fight of the year. Amazing, awesome fight, or one of the fights of the year. But the way she fought Joanna, that makes me think Rose wins because she took Joanna, who Rose dominated twice. She took her to 5, and Joanna looked really good at a lot of points. I think Wei Lee obviously dominated the last 2 rounds. And I don't even know how I could say dominated, but like I think she won those later rounds. Wei Lee, I think she won the championship rounds, and she's so good. She's such a good striker. I think her grappling is underrated because you just haven't seen it. But from all
Yeah.
the videos I watch,
Mm-hmm.
she's there. And like you said, she's strong, man. And Rose has struggled, or not struggled, but got caught by those strong, stocky wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that happens again, but I could see it being the same type fight like Joanna too versus Wei Lee. I think it. I think it's gonna
I
be a good fight.
really hope so.
It's definitely gonna be a 4 or 5 rounder.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna go into the championship rounds.
definitely.
But I just got Rose with the angles, with the footwork, with the combinations. Whaley can take a punch, so it's gonna have to be a lot of them. But I think Rose finishes her with it. It's a submission. I
Okay.
think she gets her to the point where Whaley is getting hit pretty hard. It goes to a grapple, and she catches her. I don't know what round. My bold prediction is round 3 before they get to the championship rounds. I'll just make it a bold prediction because I think it's going to go 5, and I think Rose is going to win. But I could see it going 3 and Rose getting, a tap out or something.
Okay.
You think Whaley win how?
My bold prediction is Whaley by decision. And
Okay.
the reason I think that's bold is because a lot of, power that Whaley has, getting into those later rounds, if she's having a great fight, like I think she will, it might be hard for her to get into those later rounds because she might be doing, she might do enough. But I think that in the same respect, Rose is going to give it right back to her. So that's why I think that if Whaley wins, which, like I think she will, I think it'll be by a decision, by a unanimous decision.
Okay. Okay. I like it. Ooh, another crazy exciting one. And then we got Valentina Shevchenko, who's been the champ for a minute over there. Oh my gosh. Versus Jessica Andrade. I just feel like that this is the one that I'm most sure about, and I still think it's going to be a really good fight.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take, you know, 3 rounds for Valentina to figure her out enough, and then put in some heavy blows, because I think Andrade's tank may get a little lower in those championship rounds. You know, she's more of an explosive fighter. If she grapples enough, she can control the fight, you know, in her way, and then get maybe that dirty boxing, you know, get in there close in the clinch and have a chance. But I just think Valentina, I mean, dominates as she usually does. But it takes a couple rounds, 3, 4th round maybe. By the 4th round comes, you know, knockout. My bold prediction, knockout. So
Okay. I like it. Yeah, I got Valentina as well. No surprise there. I think that she's just, like you said, figure her out, not get too crazy in the beginning, and she picks her spots. She always does, very carefully, very precise, and I think she gets her out of there. You know, knockout.
So we got Shevchenko. We agree together. We disagree on the Whaley Rose, though. We both love both of them too. And we
Yes.
both love Masvidal versus Usman. So, I mean, I think I walk away from 261 regardless of the outcome satisfied, because I think it's gonna. I mean, not more than satisfied. Like really happy. I think it's gonna be, you know, an exciting card and you know, all great fights. I would really love if Masvidal won.
Yeah.
And Rose won. It would just make me happy, because I think for their careers, them winning really puts them, you know, continue to fight and continue to push on and continue me to see them, which I really, really want. So that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if I could just say, I got some beef real quick with your gentleman's bet.
Okay.
Why the heck does Rich think this is gonna be a boring card?
I don't know. Well, did he say boring card, or did he say boring? Because I disagree with that. Or boring main event, or both.
I think he said boring card. I'm gonna scroll back because
Rich,
let's
see,
see.
I don't understand. That's why I wanted him on, and you know, he somehow.
I know Rich is gonna
kids
hopefully
30.
listen back to this.
Yeah. He's gonna listen. He's gonna listen back, and he's gonna say to himself, "Man, that was silly. I just might as well buy Mike a bottle of Gentleman's Jack."
Here we go. I got the official, direct quote
Yeah, can't lie
from
about
our
it.
boy Richie. What y'all think of these fights this weekend? They live up to the hype? Question mark. These cards are usually flat. And instant reply by our boy Mikey P here. That's not true. These fights are gonna be awesome.
Come on.
We'll see. And he went on to say that he's more worried about the Usman Masvidal fight because of how flat it was last time. But I think we'll see. We'll see with the gentleman's bet. But I can't picture a world where this card is boring. I can't picture a world where the whole card is flat.
How, when every time one of these fighters who are fighting on the card have been awesome,
It's a spectacle. Yeah.
and then you got Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman, and you got Anthony Smith versus Jimmy Crute.
Yeah. All good fights.
Oh my gosh. Come on, man. I hope Anthony Smith has a big win. I want to see Anthony Smith win. I want to see Anthony Smith make a comeback. Come on, Anthony Smith. Get a win.
Anthony Lionheart Smith.
Come on. And you know we love the All-American Chris Weidman. If we're going to go on the nicknames, the All-American Chris Weidman.
American.
I don't know Uriah Hall's nickname, do you?
Oh, hold up. Let me just make sure that I have it right because Uriah.
Listen, so just for a story out there, me and Ryan love the nicknames. There's some great ones out there. We'll write them down for you one day, but we'll FaceTime each other or call each other or text like, "Yo, how about this nickname?"
Okay. All right. It's not the one I was thinking of, but it is Uriah Primetime Hall.
Okay.
Not the one I was thinking of.
Oh
So
my
I'll,
God.
I'll wait for when that fighter's on to you know to say it. But Primetime Hall, yeah.
You're gonna wait for who? For when we actually watch him?
For when we watch who I was thinking of, that's when I'm gonna drop the
Is it on the
nickname on him.
undercard?
No, no, no. He's not fighting. He's not. He's not. I mixed up Uriah Hall's nickname with a different fighter.
Oh, okay, okay.
So,
So you're right. I want Chris Weidman to win that fight. The All-American Chris Weidman.
yep.
Come on, another guy who needs a big win, who needs a win. If he doesn't win, I think he's out of. I think his UFC career is done at that point. I think both of these guys, whoever loses, may have to think about what's next,
Mm-hmm.
in maybe a different division, but altogether, I don't know. So great fights. UFC 261 is going to be awesome and amazing. I think we did pretty good so far on this podcast. Let's wait until do some basketball. And fantasy basketball is touchy for me right now, and I know it is for you. So maybe we
Yep.
could wait a week for that.
Yeah, we could let it settle.
Yeah,
Could
you
let
got to
it
get
settle.
up in a little bit. So are you going to put this out so you can listen to it? I mean, I bet by the time you fly from Pittsburgh to New York, that you could listen to a Respect the Chat episode to
perfect.
115, and you land and you're there.
It's the perfect amount of time. I'm gonna try and get this out as soon as we're off here. So what is it? Thursday. So most of you probably who listen won't be listening at night, but by the time you wake up in the morning, and brand new Respect the Chat episode will be hitting your earwaves. So hopefully I'll be able to get it out as soon as possible. But that's what I'm gonna do as soon as we get off here, so that I
Cool.
can boom throw on the headphones on the flight. Respect the Chat takes me all the way to New York City. So
Let's go, man. Let's go. Respect the Chat, episode 115. Appreciate you, bro.
yes, sir. Always a pleasure.
We out.
Peace.